in these fun colors. If we go down to extensions and look up bracket, you can add this bracket pair colorizer, which will help make.
你看啊，你这个还可以搜一个插件到。你看它我的这个大括号，你看我的大括号也是有那个不同的颜色。你可以搜一个插件到一个 extension bracket 啊，在这里 bracket 就是 bracket 是那个叫这么一个叫啊 bracket 就是大括号，我是下了一个这个，你可以搜一下啊，现在都好像都抑制了，你可以搜一下别的一个这个已经没维护了吧啊，搜一个插件啊 bracket。啊，
The brackets look a little bit nicer, kind of as you see here. You can go ahead and install that as well. Anyways, then we'll add some settings. And a lot of this is a little bit lower level stuff than what.
然后我们再添加一个 settings 啊 settings。这个他这边也说啊，就是说这些东西看起来是很底层的啊，但是呢，我们都得做啊。那这得了解，我们了解一下吧。这个你回头装了那个就不用搞了。
You're really going to have to know or use. So I'm not going to go too deep into everything that's actually going on here for now. But in our settings, we're going to choose an output selection, which is going to choose what we output when we compile this.
然后这边要选一个输出的选择 output selection， 然后冒号settings， 然后再来一个。
Do a little star here. And in the star, we're going to do another star. We're going to choose our output list. We're going to get
output selection 这边，然后这边要选一个星号，选一个星号啊。这个我们跟着做一遍，后面就不用搞了啊，不管它。星号冒号，然后又来一个又来一个括号，然后再来一个星号星号冒号，然后 ABI
get an ABI out. That's incredibly important, which we've talked about before. We're going to get some metadata.
ABI metadata 逗号逗号
We're going to get an EVM.bytecode.
EVM 点 bytecode。
We're going to get an EVM. Source map. That's pretty.
EVM 点
pretty much it. Again, I'm not going to.
OK，你看啊，就这样啊，我保存它自动那个了啊。
I'm not going to go too deep into what this output selection and what these settings are actually doing, but if you want to learn more, you can go to the homepage of PySulkX, scroll down to the documentation section, and read more in the docs on what you can actually put and all the different features that this actually has. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a Sulk version or Solidity version. We're going to say Sulk version equals, and then we'll choose the version that we want to use. So
然后最后一个呢，我们就在写这个选这个sock 的 region 啊，这当前的一个 sock 的版本啊。
we'll put in 0.6.0.
我们选0.8.4是吧？我这边是按0 ，OK。
And then what we should be able to do is print out this compiled sol, and we'll see just a whole bunch.
然后我们把整个 compile 的 source 这个东西来给打印出来，看看 print。然后 clear 一下，对吧 p a s s o n 对 deploy 哦啊，等一下，
Bunch of really, really low level stuff. So let's go ahead and run this. We'll run Python deploy.py, and you'll see we get this massive object here, which has a whole bunch of basically unreadable pieces. But this is a lot of.
他跟我说你没装这个0.8.4，我这边装一下啊，我看看是不是这个原因。好，告诉我，a now key language or language language 拼错了啊，language，再来一遍啊，language 拼错了啊，又有报错，看看哪一个啊？啊，这样 对，或者他说再来一下啊，simple 带有一点，再来一下，看这装没装？这 debug 啊，它 OK 装好了哈，我没装0.84的 SOL 叉，现在已经装好了，好吧？这么一串，这么大一个啊，编译器改0.8.0，我装0.80的编译器 ，OK。
The low-level code that actually gets compiled whenever we use the compiler in Remix or now.
那我们就用这个把它给 compile 了啊，这么一堆这个非常底层的东西啊，这啥玩意儿啊？不知道，反正我们弄了啊，contrast metadata 啊，这个这个是那个 remix 都在后台帮我们弄好了，所以我们不熟悉这些。
Remix actually does the exact same thing. Once we compile something on Remix, you can actually copy the bytecode.
你看，比如说我们这个东西啊，我们不可以在这边有个 compile 吗？你看这边有个 compile 以后就是我们的保存啊 ，copy bytecode，你可以点这里复制。
If you hit this little copy button and copy the bytecode, and come back to your VS Code and create a new file. A keyboard shortcut to create a new file is Command N, and we paste everything. We can see there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. These opcodes.
比如说我把这个点这个compile 这里面，我鼠标左击这个 copy，把所有 bytecode 给复制下来，然后我们在这里面新建一个文件夹，右击 new file，比如说随便叫啥比如然后把那个刚刚复制的东西全部粘贴下来，你看到没有？这里面有一个
are the low-level code that our contract is actually doing.
这就是这个所有的那个底层的东西啊，代码啊，这个 bytecode
that actually governs how this code works. This is what our written code is getting compiled down to, so Solidity can actually read it and understand what's going on. You'll also see this thing called ABI, which is in Remix, and we're even going to output it right here. We have this ABI thing. Now in Remix, if you hit copy the button on the ABI, come back, create a new file, and paste it, you can see we have this long JSON object. This is that application binary interface that we've talked about so much.
如果我们把那个 ABI，就是我们在 Remix 里面把 ABI 也附出来，我们可以新建一个文件夹啊，叫 BB 啊，随便，比如把这个，你看到没有？这是那些 ABI application interface，这个也是一串这个。
Much. You can see that it's actually describing all the functions and variables. So for example, we have a function.
它这个是叫 JSON ABI 解释器，它显示我们这个合约里所有的变量，还有这个 function 啊，对吧？有我们这个合约里，就是 simple story 这些合约这些变量和这个类型啊，解释器一样的啊。
Called add person, and it takes two parameters, a name and a favorite number. So we have this input section for the function, and we have this section that describes what the function is actually doing. So the name is add person, it doesn't have a return type, it's non-payable, and it's a function. And we can see that for pretty much everything in here. This is the lowest digestible way to say, hey, here's where all the functions are, here's what the parameter types are, here's what the return types are going to be, and everything like that. So we're going to close it.
这些东西就是详细解释你这个 Solidity 函数到底里面有哪些参数，有哪些函数功能，对吧？就是你看着啊，给别人看，我这合约里到底有啥。
Out for now, though. So this is fantastic. we've now compiled our Solidity. Typically, I usually also like to output it and print it out to a file as well. So to do that, we'll do with open.
OK，我们也就知道，就是说这个东西，你每次这个东西是你 remix 里 compare 也会有这些，我们这边也有，我们先把它删掉啊，不管这两个东西啊，知道一下啊，这个里面 compare 有什么就行了啊。
Compiled code.json. And this time, instead of reading, we're going to write, and we'll call this as file as well. Instead of doing file.write, we're going to do what's called a json.dump. Compiled Sol file.
然后我们再在这个deploy 这里面，我们把这个 compile 的 code 给弹出来吧，dump 啊，我们来跟着它做一下啊。with open compiled code， 这应该是你看啊，你刚刚我们点这个，它今天有一个 compiled code 点 json 啊。as file， 然后 json dump dump compile piled 点 source 杠 fle。program 在哪？啊 ，JSON 没有，应该在头上 import 一个 JSON 啊。
We do need, of course, to import JSON. Also, just a note.
把这在头上 import 的一个，OK，它那个问题就没有了嘛 ？OK。
I know it says we're using Sulk here, but please use Sulk X still. I ended up filming a little bit of both versions, so I did a little bit of a mix and match, but please use Sulk X even if you see Sulk. What this line is going to do is it's going to take our compiled Sol JSON variable and just dump it into this file here. But it's going to keep it in the JSON syntax, so it's still going to be JSON-y. So now if we run python deploy.py, we'll see we have a new file in here.
就是把这个 compile 的 JSON 给放到这里面来，我们再试一下啊。compile Python， 你看是不是搞了一个这个东西来，把刚刚这一坨的 JSON 都放到这里面来，看到了吧 ？compile 的 JSON， 是我们刚刚的这些信息。
Called compilecode.json. The other reason that I wanted to do this was because if I hit Control S, it actually formats this into a readable way. Now,
然后如果我们保存这个，按一下 Ctrl S， 它会把它这个格式给变得一个我们更容易读的啊。我按下 Ctrl S 对这个 compare 的 JSON， 你看到没有？这上面就是刚开始那个解释器啊，后面就是这些底层的代码啊，这个 Solidity 就认识了啊。
Now again, we can go into these settings here. We can look up JSON, and we can do.
因为我们一样，我们可以点这个设置，然后在 setting 这里面有一个 JSON， 然后来可以找这些 JSON 的一个这个 format 一些格式啊。
To enable JSON formatter, and this will automatically.
因为我们勾选了自动就是把它格式化啊，对，把它搞一个比较漂亮的格式。
Make it so that we format this JSON so it's a lot more readable. Again, the reason I like to output this is because this ABI is so important and we're going to use it so much that I like to kind of be able to see it and read through it really quickly. The rest of this lower level stuff like EVM and bytecodes and opcodes, we don't really work with so much.
我们之所以要说这个 ABI， 我们以后会经常用到的 ABI 就是应用程序接口嘛，别的这个智能合约要想我和我这个智能合约交互，一定要通过的 ABI 嘛，啊。
However, as you learn more and more about Solidity, you'll probably see more and more of opcodes. So if you really want to learn a lot of really low level stuff, look into opcodes, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're not going to be going too deep into it. Okay, awesome. So we've compiled our Solidity. We've even stored our Solidity code to this compiled code.json file. Now what do? We probably want to deploy it and test it out. So how do we actually do that? Well, first, we actually have to get the bytecode. We need the bytecode of the file so that we can actually deploy it. So we're going to do bytecode equals compiled sol contracts simple storage.sol simple storage
然后我们就来看这个获取它这个 bytecode 啊。get bytecode，然后 code compiled sol，然后括号，这就把 contracts 是应该是这里面的吧 contracts simple 就是啊，这个呢 contracts 对吧？是的 deploy contracts simple 就是吧？CONTRAS，然后呢？就是这个嘛，对吧？这么就说，然后就什么事儿复制一下，懒得打了，点字。这样啊，然后
EVM
然后 EVM 啊，你看就写在这上面，这边有一个什么 ABI EVM 啊，对吧？EVM
bytecode object
然后 bytecode object 这个嘛，bytecode object 就这个嘛，估计是把这个导进来是吧？
All right, great. There we go. So now we have our bytecode. We also need
然后我们现在就有一个 bytecode 了，对吧？哎，反正它会自动保存格式的啊。
to get our ABI. So we need to get the ABI. So what we're doing here when we're
然后我们就是获取它的 ABI，对吧 ？get ABI。
typing in all these words like contract, simple storage, is we're walking down the JSON here. So when we say we want to get the bytecode, in this compiled Solidity JSON, we want to go to contracts, simple storage, EVM, bytecode. So contracts, inside this contracts JSON, you got to go to simple storage. Inside this simple storage.sol, there's another simple storage. Inside that, there's an ABI, but that's not what we want. We want the EVM. So we're going to scroll down. Aha, we're going to get the EVM. Then what do we want? Then we want the bytecode. Great. And then we want the object. So this is the bytecode of our contract. It's the really low-level stuff that the Ethereum virtual machine, or the EVM, is going to understand. Now, we also need the ABI. When we deploy this to a chain, this is what we're going to need. We're going to need the bytecode and the ABI. The ABI we can, of course, get from this kind of same method here. So to get this, we can do ABI equals compiled sol, same thing, contracts.
那也是一样啊，这个就是说获取这些这个底层的这个一样嘛，对吧？我们是不是也在这里？这里我就不打了啊。然后是不是在这个 simple storage 里面，它是在 EVM 里面有，我们看看这 ABI 在哪里 ？simple storage 直接就 ABI 对吧？
Simple storage.sol, simple storage, and as you can see, we're right here, and then we can just grab this ABI.
然后这边就是抓这边的 ABI 嘛 ，ABI 啊。
object, ABI. And we can even do print ABI. We'll do Python.
如果我们不清楚，我们可以这样弄了以后，我们来一个 print ABI，看看能不能打出去。哎，没报错啊，那再跑一下这个。报错了，应该是哪里？不好意思。啊，他告诉我 ，Perhaps you missed a comma，也许你没打逗号，我还真的啊，打逗号呗。啊，说你是不是少打一个逗号？我看一下啊。
develop.py.
哦，是这样啊。然后再来，好吧？打出来了啊。这个 ABI 打出来了啊。
And indeed, our ABI is printed here. Awesome. So now that we have our two main pieces to deploy this, now all we have to do is deploy it. But the question then becomes is where are we going to deploy it to? Which blockchain are we going to deploy it to? In Remix,
现在我们是把这两个都打出来了，对吧？那两个很重要的，一个是就 ABI，一个是 bytecode，我们都获取出来了。我们休息一下，等会儿来讲怎么部署。